And hello, everybody. And Penny here. I'm amazed I'm sitting right now doing this, but I'm still standing, if that makes sense. It just come back hot on the back of a festival of the unexplained, where not only did I get to investigate the galleries of justice with people like Shane Pittman, Dave Schrader, Cindy Kaza, the wonderful Staticom guys, Ron and Lourdes. I then did a talk on the Friday at Leicester Guildhall twice because I had two groups to do it too. And if anyone's seen my beaver, can I please have it back? If you're listening, you'll know the joke. Um, and then a weekend of meeting some amazing people and meeting people who've downloaded my books before. And someone even bought a signed photo of me, which is a first. I've never had that happen before, and you made my day doing that. But I really like talking to people who are up and coming in the industry. And I got to meet this beautiful lady and her gorgeous husband at the last Parameet that we did. She's smiling. You can't see that because obviously this is audio. And she's waving, fanning herself now as well. She is gorgeous. She's stunning. And her husband's gorgeous and lovely as well. They're just two really lovely, lovely people. And I got to sort of meet her, and I unfortunately didn't get a chance to talk to her too much because I was like whizzing around being being a celeb, as you do, trying to sell my books so I could have enough petrol to get home. But I decided to check out her YouTube page, and I was blown away. And the caliber of the work on there is really impressive. And I'm hard to impress when it comes to history and mystery and all of that. Obviously, I've been doing this for nearly 11 years. I am hard to impress. So when I'm impressed, you all should be blown away. My guest, and I'm so excited to introduce you to her. Yeah, well, I'll introduce her to you, whichever way you want to look at it, is Claire from Don't Scare Claire. Hello, gorgeous.
Hello. Thank you very much.
You're
I'm not going to
welcome.
tell Mr. DSC what you've just said. His head won't fit through the door.
You two were just so lovely. You had such a lovely energy about you as well, and you were so cute together and so complimentary and everything else. Although I do have a bone to pick with you.
Oh, okay. Here it
You
comes.
came over to my stall, completely ignored me, and then just fangirled over Kate, who was sat next to me.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what I've.
I am sat there going, these are all mine. She's just sat there because she's tired. I've done TV too.
I'm so sorry. It was very overwhelming for me too. There's so many people in the room. I don't know where to look.
But you redeemed yourself when you and your lovely husband came up to me later on and said my workhouse talk. You really enjoyed it. You learned stuff you never knew. I was like, all right, I'll let you off. And then when I
Yeah,
saw the kind of dogs you had and the fact you rode horses and everything else, I was like, oh, she's one. She's like me. I'll let her off. She gets a second chance.
yeah. I deserve a second chance after that. Second impressions count, right?
Oh, it did make us chuckle though when Kate was like, "It's not even my stall," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just going to bugger off. Pretend you wrote them, mate." But never mind. We'll get a second chance, second chance. So we've been chatting for about the last half an hour, and we found we have got quite a few things in common apart from our love of history. So,
Yes.
how long has Don't Scare Claire? It's really hard to say. Don't Scare Claire has been going, and why? Why did you set it up in the first place?
So the first video went out on the YouTube channel on the 1st of October 2023. So by the time this goes out, it will just be just over a year
Oh,
that I've been
wow.
going. But I started work on the channel January 2023. So I was working on creating all of these videos, um, ready for like I wanted this really big October launch. I was going to be posting every single day and it was going to be amazing. Forgetting the small detail that I was getting married at the end of that October. I was like, yeah, I'll be fine. I can do all of it. I can do all of the things. He said, famous last words.
Hmm.
Yes. So yeah, we've been going over a year now, and yeah, it's just been a phenomenal ride so far. Like the people that I've met and the things that I've learned about all of these different stories, it's been very, very good.
Is there any particular story then that when you've been researching it, your actual brain has gone bloody hell when you've been researching the details? Is there one that really sticks in your mind?
Um, So I do get that quite a lot, and then
Mm.
I'll be doing the research, and then I'll go to Mr. D. I say like, you will not believe what I have just found out. All of these books they say this thing, but I've just found this. So my channel's going to be the best.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess the most recent example I can think of is I've just come off the back of researching the haunted Lincoln bomber at RAF Cosford.
Ooh.
So that one was very interesting. So without going too much into it, it was the origin story of it was supposed to be this pilot Hiller, and he's the one that's haunting it.
Mm.
I never found any record of a Hiller. But what I did find was that this Hiller apparently died in a crash, and it was near Cosford, and he was
Mm.
in this particular aircraft. It was a Dove aircraft. And I found a crash in Wolverhampton, which is about 10 minutes away from
Mm.
Cosford, in a Dove aircraft. It wasn't a Hiller that died, it was a Miller. I was just
Ah,
like,
yeah.
mind
Yep.
blown. I'm like, how the two have to be connected. You can't tell me
Yeah.
that they're not connected. That's too much of a coincidence. There's just like things like that. And then yeah, I'll just like sit back in my chair and be like, cracked it, done it.
So with this a bit, this would have been a World War II era crash, was
So
it?
this was no, it was actually so the whole story of Hiller was that he absolutely loved this Lincoln, and
Right.
the Lincoln was flying. It wasn't to Cosford; it was to somewhere else, but it was going to be her last flight, and it was in the '60s time. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so then obviously he got transferred off, and he went on to Dove aircraft
Hmm.
allegedly. But this crash in Wolverhampton, it happened in 1970.
Right.
And it was quite a gnarly crash, to be fair. I mean, the pilot Miller, he died, his co-pilot, and also a woman that was in the house that they crashed into, she also passed away as well. It was not a great
Mm.
crash. I mean, no fatal crash is
I was going
great,
to say
but
no
let's be
crashes are
honest.
that great, but yeah,
No.
yeah. It was quite a catastrophic crash, I suppose you could say.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah, I do know what you mean when that kind of thing happens, and you know, I think it's because, and I said this when I did my talk at the weekend when I was doing, I think it was which talk, yeah, it was when I was talking about Bosworth Hall, and I said that there's a lot of people that take their facts off like Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is great as a reference, but you really have to dig into things and double check them and find what in effect a primary source is, or even sometimes a secondary source. So for aviation things, especially in World War II, I'd be looking in the UK at something called the Orbs, which genuinely is what they're called, the operational record books, because they'll tell you who took
Right.
off, where they took off from, who was on the aircraft, what their destination was. So if you wanted to check sort of crew logs, use those. You have a similar one in America for American World War II called MACRAs, missing aircrew reports. And obviously they're done after the event, but they'll show if an aircraft has gone missing, who was on it, what happened to them. And so I'm trying to sort of, and I've found a few when the names have been mangled, shall we say, for want of a better term.
Mm.
And because people don't double check the reference, they take what they see. The almost it's not necessarily the easy way out, it's just not knowing that it's like you say, dig. If you can't find a trace of a pilot Hiller, and it would have been a he then, it's going to be logged somewhere. Somewhere.
That's it. Yeah. Even some sort of flight lieutenant somewhere
Yeah.
stationed anywhere. Give me one anywhere, and I'll
Yeah.
take that. But just nothing that gets the alarm bells ringing.
Mm. But it's the same as well. If you looked into census records, they misspell people's names, or they put the wrong age in, and you think that person didn't exist. But if you tweak it just slightly, it pings up, and it is the right address, the right husband, the right children, and it's just been miswritten. But that's going to be an interesting one. When's that due out? That one.
Um, Sometime in October. I'm not
Okay.
entirely sure when, but it
Okay.
might be already out by the time this goes out. But yeah, keep an eye
I'll
on
be
the channel.
I'll be watching. Anything to do with aeroplanes, and I'm there, especially haunted
Yeah.
aeroplanes. I've actually never been to Cosford. I haven't been to Cosford yet. It's on my list of things. There are so many museums I want to visit to do with aircraft. Yeah, the funny story is when it was my husband and mine's second wedding anniversary or third wedding anniversary, I can't remember what it was. And he said we always used to do something that day. He goes, "Where do you want to go?" And I said, "Do you know what? We haven't been to the Imperial War Museum at Duxford. I haven't been there for years. Can we go there on a day trip?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, cool," because he likes all that stuff as well. And I just remember he's on the phone to one of his mates, and they're like, "Oh, it's your wedding anniversary, mate. What are you doing? Going into London? Going for dinner? Going for a show?" And he went, "No, no, no, going to Duxford." And his mate goes, "You could have done something Penny wanted to do." And he went, "Are you kidding? That is what she wants to do." I,
Exactly what she wants to do.
yeah, yeah. It's like, I mean, for my birthday one year, we did HMS Belfast and the Imperial War Museum in London for my birthday. I, and then
That
we get
sounds
to,
amazing. That's a perfect day.
exactly. And then we went for pizza afterwards. I'm not high maintenance. Just give me a museum and some history and a slab of mushroom pizza.
Job's a
I'm
good
golden.
job's a winner. Yeah.
Job's a good one.
I mean that was
Exactly.
pretty much our entire honeymoon. We honeymooned down in Somerset, and we went to Cheddar Gorge, we did Wookey Hole, we did the SS Great Britain. I was just taking the Mrs. ESC around all of these different
Yeah,
museums. I'm like, this is what I want to do.
yeah. Yeah, well, ours was in Mexico, but we did do like Chichen Itza and all that kind of thing, as well as sitting around by a pool being lazy. But no, I love all of that stuff. I mean, yeah, the kids sort of still go, "Oh God, Mum, we got to go to another castle." Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
Yes, because
But
it's
they're
different from the other ones.
yeah, it's slightly different. Mum, it looks the same. No, because this one actually wasn't sacked until 16, whatever it was. Yeah. And it's on our English Heritage membership, so it means we're getting free. Shut up and deal with it. But
Yes.
the older one's starting to get into the paranormal, so he's actually starting to get more interested in me taking him to these places. So it does work, but no. Oh, I'm looking forward to that one. I'm looking forward to that one. So what is your favorite history period? What period of history makes you go, when you read about it?
Oh, I would probably say, and I've been thinking about this since you asked me and gave me a little bit of time to prepare. So thank you for that, because otherwise I'd have been deer in the headlights.
I don't always
Um,
do that with people. You're lucky.
I would probably say it's around the 19th century, like the Victorian era. And a lot of it is to do with the fact that people could read and write and there was mass printing. And so people wrote things down, and we have like primary sources that we can actually go and see in all of these newspaper records. So it just makes my life so much easier when I'm
Oh,
looking
I hear
into
you.
things.
You could be my little sister. You really could, because that's exactly what I say. It makes when someone says to me, research something from 1684, I'm like, oh God. When they're like 1890, I'm like, yes.
Perfect. We can go here, here, here. It's going to be here. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Oh dear. No, is there any particular thing in the Victorian era that you find fascinating, or is it like the social
Um,
history, or is it inventions,
I mean,
or
it was a culmination of so many different things, wasn't it? That all sort of like had an impact on each other. So like with the industrialization and like people moving into the cities, so then
Mhm,
you've got all of those sort of social issues, but then that also raises like crime rates, and so you've got
mhm.
things like increased crime, but then that causes the prison reform. So it all kind of seems interconnected, and it was so quick and so innovative. Like there's just so much, and it can just blow your mind if you think about it, like all of it. So
Mm,
yeah, I could get lost for days
yeah.
in the Victorians.
Ah, but what do you think about the workhouse movement? Was it bad or not?
They're not,
Ah,
because they
trick
weren't
question.
forced there. No, I think I didn't have too much cider because they could say no. Then it was okay. It was a sort of like a last resort. So
Yeah.
I learned a little bit off you from your talk.
You see, I get very protective over all that, as you know, if you've seen my talks, but I also get protective over like the asylums that they built during the Victorian era, because I always say to people, we look at it now in 21st century eyes, go, oh my God, that's horrific what they did. But look at the materials that they had to work with back then. They
Yeah.
didn't have sedatives. They didn't have like the drugs and the medication. And I sort of say that I reckon if historians look back at how we deal with mental illness now in 100 years' time, they'll say we're barbaric because we didn't know about such and such a therapy. And I think the fact that they started to create this free healthcare for people who had no money to try and treat them almost equally to the people who did, I think that was, it wouldn't have been pleasant, but then again,
No, neither is mental illness or anything like
no.
that. And at the end of the day, that paved the way for what we eventually had.
Mm,
So we sort of had to go through that. And so
mm,
they had to be labeled the bad guys
mm.
so that we could sort of like they walked so we could run kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Even when you go even further back, when you go back to like 16, 1700s, how they dealt with it, and people are horrified that they had them in chains and they had visitors coming to see them. And it's like, well, firstly, they had them in chains because otherwise they'd hurt themselves and other people. Secondly, the visitors were actually the ones paying for the hospitals to be run. Yes, it was a kind of a quasi freak show, but it was an income.
Yeah.
And you know, short of like rich people bequeathing money to them, which actually one of the original Wollstonecraft did. He did bequeath money to a couple of mental hospitals. He actually bequeathed money to Bedlam, the Royal Bethlehem,
Oh, right.
but
Okay.
the nice Woolston, not the asshole Woolston, the early Woolston.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did bequeath money, but that was how they ran them. They had to allow people in to see what it was like and charge to I just think it's very easy with history, and this is what I like about your talk. You look at both sides. You don't just follow the standard narrative. You're
Yeah.
questioning what's being said, and that's what I really like. I was really really
Oh,
like that. So
thank you.
who produces and edits your, because your videos are amazing. Who
Oh, thanks very much.
who produces and
Um,
edits them?
so I am very grateful and very lucky that I do have an editor that helps me out.
Hmm.
So we sort of work together. So what we will do is I'll obviously film it because it's me on the film. But then I will also sort of like cut out all of the silences and the mistakes and everything and
Hmm.
get it how I want it to look, sort of pacing wise. And then I will go through and be like, right, okay, I talk about this castle here, so we should have a photo here, and
Hmm.
oh, we talk about sort of like a pub here, so let's have some footage of a pub here. And I take that and I put it in a document and I send it off to the amazing Hal Sinden at Eulogy Media, and he is fantastic at what he does, and I could not do my job without him. But he basically takes my scrawlings on a PDF and makes the beautiful videos that I'm able to produce,
They
and
are really good.
at the rate that I can produce them as well.
Yeah.
So um, yes,
So is it Eulogy you've just done the Epping film
yes.
with?
So
Yeah.
yeah, so Hal, he initially approached me quite a few months ago now, and at the time it was just to do this Epping Forest special.
Mm.
It was just going to be a collaboration sort of thing, and I was getting to the point where I was thinking about what I wanted to do for October, which I want to post a video every other day throughout October,
Wow.
which is ridiculously ambitious. And originally, I was going to do one every single day, and then I quickly realized that I already have no life now, so that's just not going to
Well, at
happen.
least you haven't got a wedding to plan this year.
No, not a minor detail like a wedding. It's just a first anniversary now instead. um, so yeah, it was at that point where I was like, okay, I'm going to need some help because I'm very good at researching and writing.
Mm.
That's my forte. Editing, it's no chance. So
Yeah.
it would take me like a week to do a video myself, plus everything else. Like it's just not going to happen. So
Yeah.
it was right place at the right time, and he'd reached out at the right time, and I really loved what he did. So yeah, it's been very good for me and the channel.
Where's it going to be available then, the Epping film?
It's going to be on my YouTube channel. So
Okay.
on the yeah, it should be out by now. So the 1st of October, it will come out on my channel.
I
So
shall be
very
watching it. I
excited.
shall be watching it with a and going through it with a fine-tooth comb. You realise that?
I know. I cannot believe that I didn't see your book before, and you're going to be there like actually all of these things are wrong. So I'm expecting a
No,
brief afterwards, a
I wouldn't,
debrief.
I wouldn't tell you everything is wrong. I'll say, right, you need to do a revisit and let's look
Yes.
at this.
Yeah. Perfect. That works for me.
I don't like making people look silly because if you put so much effort into something and then for me to say, well, actually this bit was wrong. And then because I hate it when people do that to me, when they go, oh yeah, you misspelt this. And I'm like, great, the book's out there now, and you've just told me I put the wrong county in or something. And it's really like, ah. So no, I wouldn't say it was wrong. I'd say I think you need to do a part two.
Yeah.
But there's so much stuff there is so much stuff. I mean, I don't even cover it all in my book. I pick out bits that it's
Yeah.
got so much. I mean, you've got well over 1,000 years worth of history to dig into in that place.
That's
So
it.
um and there is stuff that's supposition, there is stuff that is fact, there is stuff that's a mixture of the two. So but no, I'll be looking forward to watching that. I will be looking forward to watching it. Now, the purpose of tonight's talk, we've been chatting for 20 minutes now, but the purpose of tonight's talk was one of your videos that caught my eye. It was one of the first ones that caught my eye because it mentioned, well, aeroplanes. It was about Heathrow.
Yes.
You don't get many people talking about haunted Heathrow as a place because, let's be honest, it is nigh on impossible to ever investigate there. It doesn't shut. It's open 24/7. Why did you pick Heathrow?
I think it kind of stems into my own sort of beliefs about the paranormal, I guess, not
Hmm.
to get too existential in an answer, but I truly believe that the best sort of paranormal encounters are not when you've got your night vision cameras and you're not out on an investigation. It's when you just walk into a room and there's like a Victorian lady just standing there and then she moves and that's it. Like the most profound encounters that I've found throughout my research and even before
Mm.
is when you're least expecting it. So like
Yeah.
you're just waiting for a connecting flight and you've got nothing to do and it's 3 in the morning and you're one of five people maybe sitting there and you sort of start hearing some weird things. So I guess I also quite like obviously like castles and stately homes, they're the bread and butter, and I can cover those forever and I will never run out of ideas for those. But it's different things like airports and theme parks and different things like
Mm.
that. I really do enjoy doing those sorts of stories, and from the comments, seemingly other people enjoy them too. They think, well, I never would have expected a haunted airport sort of like that with that much activity.
I suppose I would. Um, I would. Have you ever, I can't remember my words out. Have you ever investigated an airfield, be it an old military one or old civilian?
No, I actually haven't.
No?
So no, it's on my bucket list to do.
Ah, well, you need to find one near you, even if it's almost derelict, and I will come up and I'll do it with you.
Oh, amazing! Yes, it's a date.
It's a date, and we'll see if your eulogy guys want to film it or something.
Yeah,
And
that'd
we'll
be
we'll
fantastic.
promote girls investigating boys stuff because
Yes,
girls
love
can do
it.
boy stuff. I have investigated quite a few airfields, not as many as I'd like to. I mean, the one that's on my bucket list is Scampton, because of the Guy Gibson Dan Buster's link and the fact he's meant to haunt there, as is his dog, and all these kind of things.
Wow.
But the thing that I think people don't realize about Heathrow are the amount of people who have, well, not only lost their lives there in crashes, and we're going to talk about one of not the biggest crash where over 100 people died, but one of the earliest crashes that happened there. Um, but also, people will have died waiting for their aircraft. Sounds horrible. They will have done. People will have died on their aircraft, and they literally get a blanket put over them and told they're sleeping. Aircrafts, I can't remember what the statistic was, but there was a statistic, quite a scary one, of how many aircraft you get on that will have a dead body in the hold that's being transported from one place to another.
Oh,
I can't remember what the
yeah.
statistic was, but it was a lot higher than you'd think. So when you think about all, and then you've got the energy, like you said in your video, of people are excited about going on holiday or apprehensive because they're going on a work trip. There's so much energy and it's constantly moving. It
Mm,
wouldn't surprise me if, like that person that you've seen sitting down and you think stressed a bit oddly, when you turn around, they're gone. Yeah, it might just be someone who likes to dress differently. But is it? Is
yeah.
it?
What if it's not?
Yeah. So when you were sort of looking up the crash history at Heathrow, I mean, the thing that I found interesting was the fact that Heathrow wasn't originally a military airport. And I did like your analysis of why they turned it into a military airport. That did make me chuckle. And I have actually written down Wings Over Westminster. I'm going to try and get hold of a copy of it because I've never read it. Um,
Yeah.
um, but the fact that they turned it into a military airport because, in effect, they wanted to get it cheap after the war. But the fact that it was built originally for Fairey, who did build planes during the Second World War, as did most aircraft producers. Um, but there was a few things that you were talking. The main crash that you started talking about was on the 2nd of March, 1948, and Sabina Airlines, and it was a
Yeah.
DC-3 aircraft. We'd have known them. They were former military aircraft. We'd have known them as a Dakota. The Americans used to call them the C-47 Skytrain. So it was a carrier aircraft because that's what the C bit stood for with American aircraft. So B is bomber, P is pursuit, and everything else.
Mm.
Um, what I found was interesting is that particular aircraft was the last ever DC-3 built by the manufacturer. That aircraft that
That is
crashed,
amazing.
it was the last one
That's
they'd built. And it had been flying for about a year before it
oh
crashed.
wow. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. And reading a lot of the newspaper articles, I couldn't find an actual crash report, like the official crash report when I was Googling, but a lot of the newspaper articles said the investigators were saying it was pilot error. Do you want to tell us what happened? What's the story?
Um, I can try off the top of my head because I think I found there was a lot of information from what I can remember on the Aviation Safety Network. I
Mm.
think I found a little bit on there.
Yeah.
Um, and from what I can remember, it was like a lot of the crashes at Heathrow, it was down to bad weather.
Mm.
Um, and so it was really poor visibility, and they were trying to do is it a ground control assisted or
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's,
So
you'll
ground
probably know the
control was called.
terminology better than me.
It doesn't matter about basically the people on the ground were trying to guide the aircraft in because the aircraft couldn't
Yes,
see where the runway was because of the fog. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it was that, and I believe the pilot had missed the runway, and so
Mhm.
he landed just in front of the runway and hit the grass instead, and just from there, catastrophe
Mm.
ensued basically. And so they said that the most of the passengers would have probably survived the initial
Mm.
impact, and it was because the plane caught fire basically, and
Mhm.
they couldn't get people out in time, which
Mm.
yeah is just horrific to think about.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. The report, I did look on the safety. I was looking for the actual handwritten report that would have been produced by them, a bit like
Mm,
the orbs and the macros that I was talking about to do with military.
yeah.
That's what I couldn't find. The witness statement I found said that they were trying to, like you say, bring it in from the ground, because obviously you didn't really have they did actually have radar then, but it wouldn't have been very good. And they said the pilot came in wrong and caught his wing as he came in wrong, and that caused the aeroplane to collapse, and that's
Mm,
what caused the explosion. And as you say, there was what, 22 people on board, wasn't it? I think three crew, something like that,
yeah,
19
three crew.
passengers, predominantly British passengers, but there were lots of other countries on there as well, Polish, Chilean, other countries. And yeah, and it burst into flames. And the reason a lot of the passengers couldn't get off was because they couldn't get their seatbelts undone. But two really brave guys went in there and managed to drag three people out from what my notes, where did I put the names down, who they were? They managed to drag three people out. Otto Nicholson, who was British, Christopher Roberts, who was British, and a Polish guy called Captain Jan Oles. They managed to drag those three out. Um, Otto Nicholson survived, but would never ever talk about it. No matter how many people tried to interview him on it, he would not talk about it. Christopher Roberts died in hospital from his injuries. Jan Oles survived. And Jan Oles was part of the whole repatriation of Poles scheme, running the centres where Polish people were going while they were waiting whether they were going to go back to their Poland that was now under Russian or Soviet rule and didn't really want to and wanted to stay in the UK. Um, but everyone else died. What I found really hard to find was a true list of the names of all the deceased. I found like six or seven names, and that was it. There's
Yeah,
very
yeah,
little depth written about that awful accident, isn't there?
absolutely. Yeah, I could not find. I mean, not for lack of trying. Like, yeah,
Mm.
I couldn't find it at all. No.
I did find, was it one, two, three, four, five names listed of people who died. And the reason I'm saying all this is the ghost story that's attached to Sabina Airlines. Can you remember that?
Yes. Yep.
So
Do you want me to say
what you
it?
guys can't see is Claire is surrounded by animals. I can also see the
Yeah.
shadow of Mr. Claire popping through every so often. And I want to wave at the camera. But at the moment she's got a very beautiful golden retriever sort of wanting to be in on this podcast. So we might allow her in as well, because she's a very, very attractive blonde lady. The dog I'm talking
Yes.
that is the girl, isn't it? The girly.
Yes, this
Yeah,
is Ivy.
that's
Yes.
Ivy. So if it sounds like I start chuckling or whatever, it's because Ivy's looking straight at me on the camera. Right now,
Yeah.
she's giving me the back of her head, so I think I've offended
Yeah,
her.
she's gone shy. Oh
She's gone
no, she's
shy.
fine.
Sorry. So
Yeah, the thing my husband just stubbed his toe as well. So he looked at me like, I'm so sorry. Fine.
it's all right. We can tell him it's all audio. It's only me that can see this bit. So they're at the crash site. It's like the day after the crash. They're sifting through all the horrific remains, which is basically 19 bodies probably still fastened into their seats and burnt to death, most of them. And I'm not saying that to be funny or anything. That is genuinely what happened to them. and they have an experience. And this is documented. This is not made up. This is very documented. What's the experience?
Yeah, so it might have actually been like while it was still dark. And so they were actually working by the headlights of the emergency vehicles. So it was obviously super muddy because of where the plane had crashed. There was
Hmm.
loads of foam where they were trying to extinguish the fire. It was just all round, obviously, they were trying to get any survivors they could, just very stressful. And obviously still it's still foggy. So that there's all of that going on.
Mm.
And while they're working, trying to get as many people out as they could, a guy comes up to them and he's wearing a bowler hat and he's in his suit and he's just like, "Oh, excuse me, chaps. Like, I don't suppose you've seen my briefcase, like, while you're sort of sifting around." And they're a bit like, "Well, kind of a little bit in the middle of something here, but like, don't worry
Mm.
about it. If we find your briefcase, we'll give it to the guest services and you can get it from there, basically." But a little bit preoccupied right now. He's like, "No, that's fine. You've not seen it. Okay." And he walks back out into the fog.
Hmm.
And then they obviously carry on searching, trying to find whatever they can in the wreckage. And they come across that man again, only
Hmm.
he is in his seat and he is very much deceased.
Mm.
And so that's a bit like a whoa, like you
Mm.
definitely weren't. You how could you have just walked out of the fog? And so yeah, that was very compelling
Mm.
story.
I have had similar stories though of like people who've drowned in like a sinking of a boat, and next thing is someone sees them on the dock, like looking for their family and things like that. And it's almost like it's almost like not quite an out of body experience, but they've just not realized, and so they're going about that what they were expecting to have to do when they landed.
Yes.
But that's not the only time Mr. Bowler Hat's been seen, is it?
It's not. Apparently, he is quite well known among the Heathrow staff.
Hmm.
He is quite often seen on the runway. Sometimes he has his briefcase with him. Some people said that he had this briefcase and an umbrella, but most of the time he appears to be searching for this briefcase that he obviously must have lost in the crash.
Hmm.
And there was one particular story, and it's the only story, and it's one of those where it's just been copied and pasted everywhere
Hmm.
online. So everyone follows the same narrative. But basically, what happened was, or how the story goes, is that the air traffic control, they apparently picked up this figure through the radar on the runway,
Hmm.
which I don't think you can do. I don't think you would actually be able to, like a human wouldn't create enough of a signal to be on radar. Um, that's what a lot of the aviation quote unquote experts in YouTube comments seem to say anyway.
Hmm.
Um, but so obviously the traffic control were like, okay, there's something out there, we need to go check it out. So they got the police to go and have a look,
Yeah.
and they're like, yeah, there's nothing here. We can't see anything. I'm like, well, the traffic control were like, are you sure? Like you're right next to him. Like you should be able to see it.
Hmm.
No, can't see anything. So they keep driving and they're like, well, you've just ran him over. So like you must have definitely seen him. Like, there's nothing here. Like there
Hmm.
you can see something that we definitely can't down on the ground. And there was quite a few stories like that. There was one in particular, I think it was in the 70s, where again they'd picked up that this man was out on the runway. And so they got the police out again. And this time the police actually saw him. They could see him wandering about on the runway. So they're
Hmm.
like, hello, can you shouldn't be out here. Like, what
Penny,
are you
get
doing?
inside. You're not supposed to be playing with the aeroplanes.
You have to look at them behind the fence. So yeah, they saw him and they actually interacted with him. Apparently,
Hmm.
they were like, "You can't be out here. What you doing?" And he said, "I'm looking for my briefcase." Like, no, sorry, you really cannot be out here. And I think at that point he just completely disappeared.
Wow.
But he's been seen by airport staff. Apparently, some pilots have also said like you need to go get a shovel and scrape whoever the hell I've just ran over with the plane, like because I definitely just ran someone over. Um, so yeah, he does seem to be quite regularly seen
It
out
makes
on the
me wonder
runway.
what was in his briefcase, that he's so
Well,
intrinsically attached to it.
yeah, that
And
he
that's
can't rest until he finds it.
that close to the end of the war, when the Cold War was starting. I wonder
Yeah,
if that's why all the names are never released, because there's someone on that list that was maybe not doing something underhand, that's not the right word, but was,
Something top secret,
yeah,
at least. I mean, that was kind of one of the conspiracies that I did come across,
yeah.
was that it was an intentional thing. They crashed it intentionally, um, to
I,
cover
I,
up whatever it was.
I would say not based on Sabina's accident record, which I looked up.
Mm,
They had quite a hefty accident record. It was not a safe airline. Put it
no.
this way, I wouldn't fly with them unless I was flying the darned aircraft. So I don't think it was probably deliberate. I do think it was possibly they seem to have had an awful lot of pilot error fatal accidents in there.
Right, okay.
I mean
That's
they ran for
interesting.
like 90 years as a Belgian airline, but I looked up their accident record and it's more than I would have expected, shall we say.
Right, okay. That's interesting to know.
Um, and an awful lot of the accidents were attributed to pilot error rather
Right.
than, I mean, it's like with something like a Dakota, the DC-3, you could fly on one prop. You should still be able to fly on one prop.
Yeah.
Same with like the jets now, you can fly on one jet. You can't fly very far and you want to do an emergency landing, but you can still do it.
Right,
There
okay.
seem they seem to, I don't know whether they cut corners with their crews. I don't know. That would
Right, yeah.
and the airline doesn't exist anymore. It went bankrupt in the early 2000s. But I don't think it was a deliberate execution, shall we say? But I do wonder
Hmm.
what's in his briefcase. And it would be
Yeah.
interesting to get a list of all the names and then start looking at what their career was at some point.
Yes. Yeah,
But,
definitely.
but yeah, Sabina did not have to. If you look it up, you'll see what I mean. They did not have a good safety record.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
but they seem to operate an awful lot of DC-3s as well. And yeah, I would have taken out additional life insurance if I had to fly with them.
Yeah, say
It's,
less.
I'm not laughing about the people who died. It's horrific and everything else, but
Oh,
they did seem to have a greater, yeah, a lot of pilot error type accidents rather than mechanical failure and stuff like that.
yeah.
Um, but then again, they also used to fly into like the Belgian Congo and be shot at.
Yeah, yes, that is also true.
So I just wonder what was in his briefcase, and I don't think radar would pick up. The only thing I was thinking, I was just making a note of this as we were talking. I know radar, the way it works is it's pinging a signal off, and it's meant to bounce back, isn't it? And tells you there's something there.
Yeah.
I mean, radar, you have to use what to pick up like when they're looking for bodies, they use like ground penetrating radar, but they're not actually picking up a body, they're picking up where the earth should be. There's no earth, so therefore there's something in there that there's nothing, it's pinging straight through as opposed to being blocked or something along those lines.
Mm,
So no, I don't think radar could pick up a human. There is a type of radar that can now that they're pioneered, but don't think it could have done back then. But the one thing I'm wondering is if a spirit gives off EMF, it electro has an electromagnetic frequency, could that screw with the radar so it's picking something up? I don't
yeah.
know. I'm not a radar
Well,
technician.
no, and I don't know what they saw that night,
No.
what sort of signal it was giving off. But yeah, it's interesting to think about. But
I mean, to be
yeah,
honest, from one of
from
those observational towers, you can see the runways and you would be able to see if there was a figure on the runway. That's the whole point. That's why the towers used to be where, I mean, the fact they don't really have them now, it's all from a central command, which always gives me the heebies that air traffic control is from a central command down in Southampton or wherever it is. But
yeah,
I've been up in a few air traffic control type towers, especially in like World War II ones, and you can see the whole runway. So you would be able to see at night if there was someone wandering around on it.
mm,
So maybe it's just the story's got a bit sort of bastardized, and it was actually they saw a figure as
potentially,
opposed to the because I don't think a radar would pick a figure up unless there was something weird.
yeah.
Hmm. But the fact that it's been seen so many times, and you probably find the policeman who said he asked for his suitcase wouldn't have known the 1948 story.
That's it. Yeah, it was very
Hmm.
interesting that so many different people and normally like I don't want to say like some people are more credible than others, but a uniformed police officer, that's normally a safe bet as to
Yeah,
sort of
they don't
like
like telling you their ghost stories, in my experience. So if they
no,
told one, it's
exactly.
pretty
So
shaken them up.
yeah, exactly.
One of the things I've got an answer for that you put in the video is to do with runways, and I found the answer for you.
Oh,
Remember you
excellent.
you remember you said that the runway it landed on was 28R10L, but you couldn't
Yes.
find a 28R10L runway.
Mhm.
I know the answer to this. Originally, when Heathrow was built, the runway you're talking about would either have been, I think it was runway one. So the two big long runways were runway one and runway five. And then you had some smaller ones crisscrossing.
Mm.
As Heathrow grew, the smaller crisscrossing ones weren't being used at all. So they decided to just develop the two main ones, like the two long lines, top and bottom, so one and five. The 28R or 10L means you're coming in left or right, but it's
Mm.
also the um it's something to do with the direction from north you're coming in on. So it's to do with the degrees from the north that you're entering on. So 28 would be anything between 276 and 284 degrees north that you set in
Right.
effect your compass on to come in on. The
Yeah.
reason it's now changed and it's the same runway as 27R9L is because north moves, because the Earth shifts over time. So now it's going to be anything between 266 and 274 degrees north to come in on that same runway.
It's so interesting. I had no
I probably
idea that
explained it
North
really
moved.
badly because it's all to do like magnetic north settings and everything else. But that's how all runways. If whenever you see the number on a runway, it's to do with. So if they measured what direction is north and it's I don't know 243, the runway would be dropped down to 240 and then the zero drop, so it would be 24 either left or right. That's how they work it out for the headings for aircraft coming in. Is my understanding looking at all the aeronautical pages today to find the answer out for you to why the runway had changed.
Yeah,
So
that is very interesting. So yeah, every day's a school day.
isn't it just? Isn't it just? Well, we've got one more haunting to talk about. One more haunting to talk about, and this is more to do with the area that Heathrow is built on, which is Hounslow Heath.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
This highwayman has more bloody hauntings than Anne Boleyn.
It's a very busy ghost.
He's a very busy ghost. It's only Dick Turpin again. Now,
Yeah.
honestly, do you think it is Dick Turpin?
I'm
Yes or
not
no?
sure, to be honest.
Oh, go on, get off that fence. Yes or no?
I want to say yes because it was sort of his sort of area around Hounslow Heath. He was sort of known to be sort of haunt in his life. But
Mhm.
by the look on your face, I think you were about to correct me.
I don't. He might have hit Hounslow Heath, but that his main areas were North London and Essex. Those were his two.
Yeah,
Oh, and actually, when he obviously went up to Yorkshire, I,
yeah.
I'm not a Turpin expert, but he's an Essex boy. I'm an Essex girl. I kind of feel a weird affinity with him. Um, he actually didn't do as many highway robberies as people think. He was actually much happier at breaking into people's houses and holding them
Right.
hostage with the Gregory gang. They're reading up on some of the charges. He is meant to have been on the Heath occasionally, but the highwayman that's meant to have been there the most was a French one by the name of Claude Duval, who
Right.
was executed in the late 17th century, and that was his area, was that part of London.
Okay.
Um, he was a French noble who'd been stripped of his titles, had come to England. He was meant to be very chivalrous and never attacked people. And he was always
Right.
very courteous to the women and tried to put them at ease, supposedly. But that was his stomping ground. I mean, obviously, that's 50, 60 years before Turpin. But it, like I say, Turpin's main sort of one of the areas I know he used to strike was in Epping Forest because there was a track they used to use. I talk about it in the book. There was a track they used to use. It was part of the sort of London to Newmarket, Cambridge type road, which you get them coming back with money. And it was very
Mm.
boggy. It doesn't exist now. They bypassed it. And the coaches would have to go really, really slow to get through it. So the highway robbers would attack there because the coaches would have to go so slow to get through the mud. But I don't know. I It's like when everyone says it's Anne Boleyn haunting. Could it not just be another woman of her era dressed like
That's
her?
it. Yeah.
Mm.
There were more highwaymen than just Dick Turpin. He wasn't
Oh,
going around
yeah,
the whole country. Like,
yeah, yeah.
but
I
the
mean, the
ghost
whole
stories
story
will have
about
you
him
believe
riding to
otherwise.
Yorkshire in 2 hours or whatever it was from Essex on Black Bess
Yeah.
didn't happen. It's
No.
made up. There's no way you could ride a horse. I mean, you ride horses. I've ridden horses. There is no way a horse could do Epping to York in 2 hours.
No.
It's not
No.
physically possible.
No, absolutely not.
I couldn't even drive it in 2 hours. So how a horse could,
I mean, yeah, it's a long way, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
yeah.
But so what's the highwayman story? What have people experienced?
So it follows a very familiar trope with highwaymen in that he is seen on the runway, sorry, and he is apparently riding Black Bess, so that he's
Hmm.
seen with his black horse. But also interestingly, he was thought to be responsible for a few more of like the darker sort of, I don't want to say attacks, but like encounters, let's say, inside the airport. Um, so staff, when it's quite a quiet shift, sometimes they'll have like really hot rank breath on the back of their neck.
Hmm.
Obviously, they turn around seeing like what supervisors right behind them, and there's just no one there, sort of thing.
Yeah.
There was also a story from one of the uh airport staff that works on the check-in desk, sorry. And she was apparently dragged along the floor by her
Oh,
hair
oh God, I remember
by
that.
something unseen.
How that would be
Um,
terrifying.
yeah, could you even imagine? Like, what could you even do in that if that actually happened to you?
Mm.
So yeah, and he was thought to have been responsible, this quote unquote Dick Turpin. Um, so yeah, those were the stories around him.
I'm not, I mean, the weird thing about Dick Turpin is I'm not condoning what he did. He terrorized people. He did terrorize people.
Yeah.
But I read an awful lot about him that isn't actually true when people say, "Oh, he was a rapist. He sexually assaulted people." Well, actually, he didn't. It was the members of the Gregory gang that did that. And he would beat the living daylights out of someone. He would torture them to give him money and everything else. But there was uh, the assault that they're talking about was not him. It was two of the other guys in the Gregory gang who did it. He deliberately said no because he actually had a wife and he actually did go home to his wife.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying he was a good guy by any stretch of the imagination, but and he would have no qualms about killing someone. He would have, I mean, I think there was one case where there was an old woman whose house they attacked in I think it was in Essex, and they knew she was a rich widow, and he pretty much forced her to sit on a roasting hot hearth, the
Mm.
hearth grate of a fire, until she told them where her money was. So they weren't nice people by any stretch of
No.
the imagination, but there is stuff that's written about it. I say the whole, yes, he was meant to be an incredible horseman. There's a story that I think it was say Woodford Green or Loughton, somewhere like that, that he supposedly used to frequent this pub to stay there to hide out, and he had a fake room built, and he'd galloped back there to try and get away from the militia who were after him, and had an identical horse in the stable. He hid his horse in this fake room. Um, and when they said, well, it's almost like the policeman touching your car to see if you've been driving it, he was like, well, if I've just galloped flat back 10 miles, why is my horse not sweating? And they were like, oh, it's not, is
Mm.
it? Because he'd hidden this other one. So he was such a good horseman. This horse trusted him completely to be in this secret room and not make a sound.
Mm.
I don't know if it's true. It's a sort of local folklore, but um, I do wish people would look at other names.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think both in his life and his death, it's the Dick Turpin show. Like every highwayman ghost is Dick Turpin.
Yeah,
Every sort of highwayman escapade, it's probably Dick Turpin. So we're just gonna say that. Yeah,
but it's also
it
the
seems to be him.
romanticizing. It's
Yes.
it's. I mean, all right, Adamant looked very very good in Stand and Deliver and Prince Charming and everything else, but highwaymen were not nice people. Plus, also that Dick Turpin was not predominantly a highway robber. He was a housebreaker.
Yeah.
That's actually what he earned more of his money for. The highway robbery was comparatively short part of his career, where you got, say, people like Claude Duval. And there was also one I remember researching who was a bit further down than Hounslow Heath. He was known as the Golden Farmer. And he always paid his fees in pieces of gold, and nobody ever knew why. And it was almost like his version of money laundering. And he
Oh,
was a highway robber slightly further down towards sort of Farnborough. Um,
okay.
so there's an awful lot of them that people. So I would have thought Hounslow Heath would have had quite a few covering it, because how big the area was and how much money would have been coming out
Yeah.
of London.
Out of London,
Um,
yeah.
but it could be Turpin. I could be completely wrong. I could be completely wrong, but it just, like you say, it seems to be every time there's a highway robbery story, it's Dick
Yeah.
Turpin.
It's Dicky Turpin again.
Same as every time someone sees a royal woman in a Elizabeth sort of Tudor dress, it's got to be Anne Boleyn.
Yeah. Couldn't be anyone else, possibly.
It, I mean, yeah, it does. Maybe we should try and contact Turpin and go, look, mate, can you just tell us where you're haunting so we can correct all of this? Because it's driving me up the
Please.
wall
If I
from
have to say your name one more time in
exactly
a YouTube video.
from one Essex person to another, mate. Help me out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, might be an idea actually. I could
Yeah.
try and channel Dick Turpin and find out exactly where he has been going. Um, what have you got coming up? What's coming up that's you're really looking forward to and you want to tell people about it? I mean, obviously this is October time. We're talking
Yep.
early October. You're coming along to the next Parameet, aren't you? The one in
Yes.
Pontefract on the
Yep, I am.
weekend of the 19th and the 20th. So
Yes.
I will see you there. What else have you got going on?
So if you see me in life during October, I'm probably going to be an absolute frazzled mess because I will be right in the thick of posting every other day on my YouTube channel. Um, Starting off with the Epping Forest special on the 1st of October, which yeah, going to be amazing. Um, so that is probably it's been my entire life for most of this year. It's just been researching and getting things ready for October. So if you can, please come along to my YouTube channel and support me because
Definitely.
it's been my entire life. So yeah, it'd be yeah,
Well,
very
we'll make
good.
sure we'll put the link to the YouTube channel on Haunted Histories. So anyone who doesn't follow you yet, who follows Haunted Histories, can go and check out. Honestly, I think she's fab. It's quite recently I discovered this lady and she makes me laugh, which is what I try and do when I'm teaching history. So and the fact that she questions things and doesn't just basically repeat verbatim what everyone else has said and questions that, I think is so important. And I think as a sort of in the paranormal world, in the history world, you do have to go, let's look at this a different way. Let's see what else we can find, because people might laugh at you to begin with, but after a while, I can tell you they'd start to take you seriously when you come out with a new idea, because when you proved yourself time and time again that you're worth listening to, and she is worth listening to. So,
Yeah.
Miss Don't Scare Claire, thank you ever so much for your time tonight on Haunted Histories. Um, for those of you who enjoyed it, do go and follow Claire's Don't Scare Claire. I'm going to be able to say that by the end of this. Don't Scare Claire Facebook page. Go and follow her YouTube, subscribe to it. You will not be disappointed. Like I say, the content is great, the quality is great, and it's not a lecture. It's not a history lecture. Anything you want to add before we leave?
Um, I cannot wait to see you a bit later in October, and I promise I won't block you as I apparently did before. I don't even remember doing that, so I feel absolutely mortified.
I'm used to being in Kate's shadow. I'm used to it. Apart from the fact she's 6 inches taller than me, so I'm always behind her anyway. Well, thank you ever so much for being my guest. Check out all the other podcasts Haunted Histories have done. Keep an eye out because we've got 2 more coming in 2024. I'm already sort of chatting to people for 2025 as well. If there's any subjects you'd like me to cover on the podcast, let me know. If you don't already follow Haunted Histories, do follow it. Hopefully my new book will be out at some point. It's just being held up a little bit at the publishers. But apart from that, See you later. Have a good evening, sleep tight, and don't worry too much about things that go bump in the night.